what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves one speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all.
Welcome back to Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company. So today's conversation is super relevant, and I'm super excited about artificial intelligence and how it's transforming how we work, how we communicate, how we recruit, and how we lead. Organizations are investing heavily in technology to become more efficient and productive. Yet at the same time, many workplaces are facing a growing challenge that technology alone cannot solve: human disconnection. So our guest has spent more than 30 years helping leaders build the one capability that remains essential regardless of how advanced technology becomes: the ability to create meaningful human connection. One of my favorite topics, human-centric leadership. So joining me today is Michael Marker here in the studio. He's the founder of Leaders Who Connect. Michael advises everyone from CEOs to frontline leaders on how to build trust, strengthen organizational well-being, improve leadership alignment, and create high-performing teams. Trained in executive leadership by Harvard Business School faculty, he's known for his servant leadership approach and immersive leadership experiences, including connected teams experience, connecting with clients in the age of AI, and his keynote inspired by the Harvard Business School case study, Ernest Shackleton and the Epic Voyage of the Endurance. So interesting. Before launching Leaders Who Connect, Michael began his career as a journalist. Oh, so I'm interviewing a journalist. I'm so nervous now. And his executive ghostwriting has appeared in publications including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, U.S. Today, Reuters, Politico, Fox Business, and NPR. So today, we're exploring a topic every leader should be thinking about: connected leadership in the age of AI, the human skills that still matter most. Michael, what a resume.
Thanks.
I didn't know who I was talking to today, but now I know. So thank you for joining Breakthrough Conversations. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here. And when I got to talk to you a couple weeks back, your energy was, I said, I got to make it on this podcast somehow.
Oh, my God. And he traveled to come here to St. Louis to spend time with me in person. So let's start here. We hear constantly about AI.
Yeah.
Transforming the workplace. What do you believe organizations are at risk of losing if leaders are not intentional about human connection?
Yeah. So AI can be really positive in so many different ways, and organizations and leaders are using it to help them with their businesses and how they lead people. So in and of itself, AI is not a bad thing, right? I'm a big proponent of it, but there are risks, and your question's a good one in that if you think about the risks of not having human connection or over-indexing on technology, it really speaks to the organizational health and the sustainable success of a group, at a very high level, right? There's a lot of data out there from Gallup and Pew and others that say disconnected leaders really impact performance, productivity, and profits because employees disengage, right? And so the health of an organization is one of those risks. Another one is, I've heard on other podcasts and guests that you've had on, trust is really eroding between employers and the people who lead them. It's really broken down. And it's kind of a vicious cycle because the employees say, I don't trust my manager or my CEO or my executive director. And those leaders feel that distrust, right? And so it's really hard for them to stay motivated, to stay engaged. So many more of them are actively looking for other jobs because they're not fulfilled in their work because their teams don't trust them. And then the last risk I think of is the individual well-being, the actual health of the individual employee and the leader. Because when we're not connected at work, there's increases in heart disease, there's more stress and uncertainty in our work, and it really plays out in really negative ways for our physical and mental health.
It really does. I'm glad you mentioned the mental health piece. I was just about to say the heart disease increase, the mental health instability, the loneliness of it. And then in addition to this technology with AI integrating into our world today. We already were struggling with that disconnect. COVID introduced it. A lot of companies went virtual or at least hybrid.
Right.
And then you lost that connectedness even through that. So now we're layering on the AI.
Right.
And if we lean too much into that, like as you're stating, it can have that adverse impact. So
Yeah, it
I
really
hope
can.
organizations are keeping that in mind.
I hope so too.
Mm-hmm. You often talk about connected leadership, like we were just speaking of. How do you define that, and what does it look like in practice? A healthy version of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about connected leaders, I really think about the fundamental needs that each of us have.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter gender, race, ethnicity, age,
Right.
whatever it is. We all have this fundamental need in life, and we bring it to work as well. And it's 3 questions that we all have. Do you see me? Do you understand me? And do you value me? Right? And so on the daily, employees are putting that on their leaders and saying, do you do these things?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so a connected leader is somebody who really is successful at getting people to feel those things by the
Yes.
actions that they take. And so it's really a felt experience, what
Mhm.
I'm talking about. And so a lot of business leaders, they don't want to get into feelings, right?
Right.
Oh, this is work, this is bottom
Mhm.
line and all this. But feelings are bottom line as
Right.
well, you know. And it's often attributed to Maya Angelou, this quote, and I've seen another one who says it's his,
Mhm.
whatever. It's a good
Right.
quote, and it's that one about, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but
But
they'll
the
absolutely remember how you
how you
made
make
them
them
feel,
feel.
right? And
Mhm.
so in my work with leaders, I try to get them to think about leaders and their experience that made them
Yes.
feel seen, valued, and understood, and
Mhm.
say, how are you doing with your teams?
Yes.
You know the example of what you
Mhm.
want. How are
Mhm.
you living it out?
That is so profoundly true. And one of my favorite things because you mentioned about human-centric, human connectedness, and while a lot of individuals are in leadership roles, it's a big percentage of them that don't understand that that's valuable. That's the central part of leadership.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
because you're trying to get things done through other humans.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to have that connectedness. Do you see me? Do you understand me? And do you value me? And if the answer to any of those is no, the question you should be asking yourself as a leader is why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, it's an inside out job. You have to start within and look
Absolutely.
internal so that you can give this exceptional experience that I truly believe is needed and valuable. And I truly feel like leaders have such a profound impact on the well being and health of the individuals that they have a great responsibility of leading, that the way they treat them matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what will your legacy be as a leader? What are people saying about you when you're not in the room?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's a whole
Mhm.
lot of self-interest in it
Yeah.
too. For leaders, it's not just one more thing to think
Right.
about that's on your plate to do and some task or responsibility.
Right.
It's something that will make you more fulfilled in your job.
Mm.
It'll make you feel more rewarded and more connected. And that's going to bring you more joy at work.
Yes.
And that's something people don't talk a lot about is
Right.
joy at work.
Right.
But people that find fun and joy amidst all the adversity and setbacks that come with work as well,
Mhm.
that's how you have sustainable success. That's how you have a legacy as a leader. Yeah.
Yes. And you impact. You may not have a big impact over the big culture of the company, but you're impacting the culture of your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's so true. So many leaders think because they communicate often,
Yeah.
they are connected to their teams, but those are not always the same thing. What's the difference?
Yeah, so it's really important to communicate often and consistently, right?
Mhm.
And behavioral science tells us that this idea of consistency is something that employees really cling to.
Mhm.
They want to know that you're going to bring them information, it's going to be accurate, they're going to get it when they need it to do the
Right.
job that they need to
Right.
do, right? So consistent communications really matters. But it's important not to get caught up in, well, this email went out, or I recorded this video, and everybody certainly
Right.
clicked on the link and watched all 30 minutes of it,
And
right?
understood it the exact
And
same
understood
way.
it, right? And oftentimes the challenge in that is when you start from that deficit of trust that we were talking about earlier, that communication is already being met with resistance
Yes.
on, is this really about me? Is this targeted to me? Kind of thing. And so it's important to think about the quality of the communication,
Yes.
and then also communicating in ways that sync up with the team that you're working with, right? And so good for example is I've done some work with John Deere in the past, and we'd go into their manufacturing facilities, and emails would go out, text messages would go out, and they're going to folks on the manufacturing floor, right? Who aren't spending a whole lot of time on email or text, right? They'll see some of those messages for sure, and it's important to communicate in those channels. But it's as important, if not more important, for those leaders to be out walking the floor.
Yes.
And just having interactions, or what some people call management by walking around, right? And just going up to, hey, John, hey, Jane, you know, great job today on this. And how's your kid doing? I know they had that Little League baseball game. And knowing those things so you can have those connections. And that ultimately is the kind of stuff amidst all the formal communications that really helps.
Right. Meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
Making sure the communication is organic in nature, and making sure it's a good quality communication.
Yep.
Just because you send an email, just because you send a link to the video doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
It really does. It's up to our interpretation. And we all have filters we're going through trying to reach a level of understanding. And all our filters are different.
Yeah.
So once you understand that person and know who they are, you can connect with them on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Well said. So in your work with organizations, what are some of the biggest behaviors or habits that quietly create disconnection in those teams?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Quietly creating it is a really great way to phrase that, because trust really erodes slowly. And very few employees stand up in a meeting with their boss and say, I don't trust you anymore, right? And so it happens quietly, right? I think a couple things. One of the most common things I see in my work is leaders who have really good intentions of prioritizing connection time. And they'll tell me, I have one-on-ones with my teams individually every week or every other week, whatever the cadence is. And if we dig into it a little bit deeper, and they're being honest with me, they'll say, I cancel about half of those, right? And so that's a behavior that is really a slippery slope, because it doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment to the leader. Oh, we had this other meeting with this client, or this more important thing that came up. But there's the key. The employee says, more important than who? Me. Right?
Sends a message.
And so that seen, understood, valued really bumps up against that. And so if you set one-on-ones, really try to keep them, right? And then try to show up in a way where it's not just going through a checklist. It's starting where you have at least a few minutes to have small talk, which I think is misnamed. I think small talk is really important talk.
It is,
because that allows us to kind of know each other a little bit. Like, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
It seems like a throwaway question, but I'm going to learn a lot about you if I can get you engaged in, oh, I had a family reunion, or I did this, and now I know a little bit more about you, right? So those one-on-ones matter. Another thing and behavior that I see, you mentioned the pandemic earlier. You know, we have these virtual meetings that are so great in so many ways, because they allow us more work-life balance, and more people can join in the party, and all these kind of things. But we also get into organizations where they don't turn on their cameras. Right. And all of a sudden, I mean, we all do this. If somebody doesn't have their camera on, we don't give them the benefit of the doubt. We're like, what are they doing? Right. And
I'm actually a little offended. I got mine on while they don't have theirs on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we all do that. It's human nature. But it doesn't mean that the culture has to change if you're a no cameras on culture. But maybe you could at least have them on at the start of the meeting for this kind of intentional connection time at the start. Or maybe you have them join at the end as well on camera. But, you know, those are a couple things that I see. Yeah.
I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. So this one organization I worked at, it's a senior leader. He watched a video on YouTube of some, I don't even know who the speaker was, but he was being interviewed and he said he don't believe in one-on-ones. They're a waste of time. There's no need to have them. And this leader took that and ran with it. He canceled all one-on-ones. It was the opposite of what we were trying to enforce and build in the culture.
Yeah.
And I was just so flabbergasted. He took it to the other senior leaders and they were all getting on board. It was a hot mess.
Wow.
And I think they went with that.
Yeah.
Like they went down. I just thought that was like tragic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's tragic too.
Yeah.
I think that one-on-one time is so important, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time, right? Just consistent time. And you think about say somebody who's leading a team of 40 or 50 people or something like that. The person that gets the email that says, you're doing a great job. There's very few people are going to go home and tell their spouse, significant other, their kids, I got an email from my boss today. It said this. But if that person took 2 minutes to knock on their door, come to their cubicle, and address them by name, and say, you did these things, specifically you're such an asset to the organization. We're so glad you're here.
Right.
You can bet at dinner that night that communication is going to be shared. And so those things seem small, but they're huge in building trust. And so many companies are spending millions of dollars trying to figure out how to get employees more engaged.
Right.
And simple things can do it.
Small effort, big impact.
Absolutely.
And the thing I'm going to keep going back to is inside out jobs.
Yeah.
So companies spend millions of dollars on building competency, very little on character.
Yeah.
So if we can flip-flop that and look internal and then talk about what our expectations are from a leadership standpoint, we will have less of that.
Yeah, I think so. And it creates a competitive advantage for organizations if they choose to invest in the character piece.
That is so true.
Yeah.
People want to go work there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked about your work around connected clients, especially during the age of AI. Why do deeper human relationships matter even more right now from a business perspective?
Yeah, I think it's because we're all longing for more connection, for one, right? Everybody's just moving fast and working to get the job done so I can get home or get to my next thing, right? And so some of the fulfillment that we found historically in work and work relationships is being diminished, right? And AI is playing somewhat of a role in that. Right, because leaders are thinking, well, I can do more through this than not. I'll give you, for example, a lot of work that I've done historically has been within professional services firms, and it wouldn't be uncommon for a team to get a request for proposal from a Fortune 500 organization and say, we need you to help us address this challenge and come up with all your best and brightest ideas. And if you have the best ideas, we're going to hire you, right?
Okay.
And so before AI, that team would get together in person,
brainstorm
in the room. There'd be tons of energy. There'd be tons of connection, lots of laughter. You'd have this shared experience where when you got done with that and you created all these ideas and you took it to the client and then you won that work, it felt so good, right? Now, not everywhere, but in a lot of places, it's that comes in, one person is going to quarterback it. They'll send out the information to all the people who would otherwise have met as a team in person and say, everybody do this virtually. Come up with your best AI prompts and add your creative thinking and your experience to it as well. And then go ahead and populate it in that Google Doc. And that says human connection and warm and fuzzy all over it, right? Put it in that Google Doc and then we'll put it together and then we'll send it to the client, right? And then if the client hires you, you got to go sit in front of them. And then they're like, what's the team we hired? These people don't even seem to know each other. Right. And so this human connection is really essential.
That is an excellent example.
For the work and to get things done.
That's a great example to show how AI is impacting the human connectedness.
Yeah.
That is so profound. That's exactly what's happening in the workplace.
Yeah.
People are going off. They're not even using their own brain power. They're going to their AI bot and they're saying, this, and that. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then you're going to lose your own creative juice and your own critical thinking.
Yep, absolutely.
In addition to the human connectedness.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to be like robots ourselves.
I sure hope not.
So in your work, you use behavior science in your programs. What are some like simple habits leaders can start practicing immediately to strengthen trust and connection?
Yeah. One of the things is this idea of closed loop communications. And it's a pretty basic idea. It's essentially you deliver on what you promise you say you're going to do, right? And I don't think it's leaders intending to do poor on this. I think leaders have good intentions mostly when they say to an employee, hey, I don't have that information right now, but I'm going to get it, or I'll come back to you with this, or we don't know just yet, but as soon as we do, I'll let you know. But when you don't close that loop and you just think, oh, I just said that in a meeting, that's no big deal. Well, the employee is waiting for that information. And if it doesn't show up, if that loop isn't closed, that's another area where trust erodes. Yeah. And so that's problematic. So closing the loop's important. Reciprocity, the behavioral science principle of reciprocity, which is also just kind of a big word for doing something for somebody else first without any expectation that they'll do something for you in return. And when leaders do those kinds of things, it really helps them in their relationship and building connection. So, for example, might be, let's say I'm a leader in my 40s or 50s and I'm leading somebody in their 20s and 30s and we have our one-on-one and we're doing some connection time and I learn, oh, they're really into backpacking. Oh, okay. Well, I know somebody who can connect them with somebody where they want to go hike or whatever the hobby is, right? And I say, hey, you know what? That's great. I'm going to connect you with my friend so-and-so who can tell you more about what you're interested in doing, right? That can play out in any number of ways. It can be a training people want to do or, whatever it is. But you think about the power in that to the employee because then they think, that's cool. My boss thought enough about my hobby to remember it. And then to say, I'll connect you with somebody who's important to me. So reciprocity is an important piece too. Right. And then we talked about consistency earlier, right? So one of those things that employees lean on is nobody operates well or at their best in uncertainty. That's right. True. And so consistent communication is really important. And I often encourage leaders, like in moments of uncertainty, don't go in the bunker and just think, we'll ride this out. You got to really be out there talking to your folks. And even if the answer is we don't know yet, but we'll tell you when we do, really helps with trust and connection.
That does. Yeah. Otherwise, you lose them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's worse is they stay.
Yeah.
You lose them and they stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked to me when we first met about your immersive keynote around Ernest Shackleton and the endurance story. It's fascinating. So I want to hear more about that. What are some leadership lessons from that survivor story that feel especially relevant for our leaders today? Yeah,
thanks. I'll just set it up briefly, which is this story really originates from over 100 years ago. It takes place around Antarctica. And it was kind of like the race to the moon in the States in the 1960s, well, U.S. and Russia trying to get to the moon first. In this case, it was countries trying to plant their flag in the South Pole first. So this guy Shackleton, he was an explorer. He took a team there. One problem is it was all men, and so when I do this keynote, women like to point out, he probably wouldn't end up sinking his ship if he had at least a couple women on the team, right? Probably not wrong there. But his ship got stuck in the ice in 1914 and it sank. And so 28 members of this crew lived on floating ice in the ocean for 18 months. And they all survived. It was the most epic survival story ever told. And the traits that Shackleton used to keep his team motivated was he was a servant leader, right? He had all kinds of concerns of his own, but he put his crew first, and he went around and talked with them every day, checking on how they're doing. He created discipline around, so they had organization around exercise and games and socializing, and he kept holidays like Christmas and Easter and different things where they'd celebrate him on the pack ice. Are you kidding me? But they found a way to do it. And he just kept in all this uncertainty a tremendous amount of optimism.
Right.
And that's one of the key takeaways I think leaders for today should take from this story is in moments of uncertainty and when your team doesn't trust you and when you have all kinds of challenges outside of work, it's really easy to let that show and to be short-tempered and to not give time to people and not to be at your best, right? But Shackleton said, I'm not going to let anybody see that. I'm going to be optimistic in the face of uncertainty, and I'm going to charge forward to this mission. And he had everybody marching towards that same mission, which was survival.
To me, that's a life lesson.
Yeah.
Like, this just spoke life into me. Because right now I'm looking for a job. I'm going on 10 months.
Okay.
I've never been in this position. My income was the most stable because my husband's a small business owner. And I listed out all the things I've been doing in this season. And the list is like ongoing. Like, I'm still showing up. I'm mentoring others. I'm helping others find jobs and doing their resumes and their LinkedIn profile. I'm continuing the podcast, although it's costing me every month to do this. I have no sponsors. I'm walking by faith. I completed my AI certification. I passed my SHRM CP
that's
exam.
awesome. That's awesome.
I'm writing a leadership book. And yesterday I was very discouraged because it gets really quiet. Like, what's going to happen 2 months from now when I'm out of money? How am I going to pay this bill? But what you just described, I was visualizing those people out in this ice, all kind of elements against them.
Right.
The odds are against them.
Yeah.
And the role that faith and optimism plays.
Yeah.
And you got to, and then if you just have one person that's speaking life into you and saying, we got to believe. And we're going to keep going forward with life as though we're still living it, because we are. He celebrated the holidays. He acknowledged those things. Oh, my God, it just gave me chills.
Yeah.
So no wonder they survived.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, they kept things fairly simple in what they were doing, right? And what you were saying about faith, I think that's how I approach my work is big faith and keep it simple.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And staying optimistic in the face of storm and uncertainty.
Yes.
And knowing that you have the tools to get there,
That's
right?
true.
And the beautiful thing about what you're doing is you're pouring so much into other people, and this reciprocity piece. Here's what reciprocity tells us: that when we pour into other people, it comes back to us.
Yes.
Right? And so it's already coming back to you in positive feelings that you have when you do those things, but it's going to come back to you tenfold because it's just how life works.
It is.
Right? So good things are coming. I have no doubt.
The law of the universe.
Absolutely.
Yes. So many leaders, though, they're exhausted. They are overwhelmed and they're navigating this uncertainty, like you described. A lot of companies with the economy the way it is, their head count is tight. They're continuing to lay off. You hear about companies like Oracle laid off 30,000. Centene is here in St. Louis, and they're potentially going to lay off 60,000 people.
Wow.
Like, it's big. What does connected leadership look like during these type of seasons?
Yeah. So I think it's important overall, and especially now, but research has shown that connected leaders are the ones that people seek out. And that's because connected leaders help increase productivity.
Yes.
They help increase profits. They help increase innovation and execution. And so those leaders are in demand, right? And so in moments of uncertainty like this, I think it's important to lean into human connection. And part of that is the network that you've created through your work, right? I mean, if you're somebody that's faced with a downsizing, hopefully you've kind of invested time and energy in people and connected with them where folks who want to help. Within organizations, when all this uncertainty is going around, people have so many questions, right? When's the shoe going to drop on me or my colleague? And so making sure that you're prioritizing human connection with your team.
Yes.
It's really easy, and I get it. It's human nature when times are hard to say, I'm going to hunker down
Mhm.
and I'm going to really prioritize being on these calls with upper
Mhm.
management and doing all these things that people might see, right? But if leaders are being honest, and a lot of them
Mhm.
tell me this, if I ask them to look at their calendar for
Mhm.
a week, they'll tell me, oh, here are several calls where I don't feel like I'm providing value. I don't
Mhm.
think I need to be on those
Mhm.
calls, whatever it might be. But they won't talk to other people about that. If you can carve out
Mhm.
half hour a week on time that doesn't seem well used
Mhm.
today, and you can use that to energize your teams through human
Yes.
connection, I think you'll find you're more fulfilled.
Mhm.
They know that you got their back, you know, and those kind of things help.
Yes.
I'll give one more example on
Mhm.
this that I think is relevant to today. So, people like to talk about Simon Sinek, and Sinek's done all kinds of research on teams and the
Mhm.
importance of trust in
He's on my
teams.
list of people to meet.
Heck yeah, mine too. I'd love to meet him. Um, so he looked at all kinds of teams, and what he found was the teams that have the highest level of trust
Mhm.
are special forces units.
Mhm.
And when you think about the Rangers or you think about the Navy SEALs, they're just like America in
Right.
that they're as diverse as can be. They're all kinds of different people in those units, but they have one thing in common that
Mhm.
Sinek looked at, which was they know that when things get tough, that person to the right of them and the left of them absolutely have their
Has their
back.
back, right.
No questions about
Mhm.
trust, right? And that's trained to get
Mhm.
that, right? And so I guess the story, for leaders and
Mhm.
organizations is can you train against that with your teams, with
Yes.
your peers to help build more trust,
Mhm.
right? Which helps with performance and also helps in moments of uncertainty,
Yes.
to be able to move forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great one. So I'm getting close to the end here. One of the questions I want to ask, if someone listening today realizes their team feels disconnected, where should they start first?
Yeah. On the keep it simple mantra, I would say one thing that has a bigger impact than most people think is looking at their weekly check in meetings with their
Mhm.
teams.
Mhm.
And so many of them are like, like,
Project
yeah, tell
tax.
us what you're working
Mhm.
on and do you need any support and those different kind of
Mhm.
things. And, and do people come out of those meetings feeling pumped up and
Right.
energized? Probably not if they're just reading out on their report.
Mhm.
And then the other person reads out on their report and it's like they're either halfway listening or they're on their phone or
Right.
tablet or whatever. So prioritizing connection time within these weekly check-in
Mhm.
meetings. And I had a guy tell me this years ago, and I didn't do it for a while because
Mhm.
I thought, oh, that sounds silly.
Mhm.
But then I did it, and it was great. They're these reflection cards.
Yes.
It's like a deck of
It
cards. You've
is.
probably
I
seen them,
have
right?
those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we decided. I told my team at the time.
Mhm.
I said, we're going to do this today,
Mhm.
and if we hate it, we'll never do it again,
Mhm.
right? And so we took out the first card, and the
Mhm.
question was, um, what's one thing you did when you were a kid that you
Mhm.
stopped doing, and why'd you stop?
Right.
And so then we'd go around the room and everybody would do their readout
Mhm.
on the projects and support they
Mhm.
needed, and they would answer that question,
Yes.
right? And that became everybody's favorite part
Yes.
of that
And
meeting.
they learn so much about each
They
other.
learned so much. And so one of
Mhm.
my coworkers, she said, I used to dance and I
Mhm.
loved it, and I don't know why I stopped. And so she
Mhm.
went back and started doing adult tap, you know,
Yes.
and then invited us to go.
Mhm.
And she had this amazing time, and these stories just kind of unfolded over the
Yes.
years. And yeah, we got to know each other
I
better and
love
it
it.
made it more fun. A really simple thing to
Right.
do if you prioritize that time.
Yes. It's so important. And like you said, it also fills your cup as the person. So now
Absolutely.
I'm gonna move to what I call rapid fire.
Uh-oh.
I just want you to say what first comes pops.
Okay.
One leadership habit every leader should stop immediately.
Thinking that they're listening to people, but not really actively listening
Mm,
to their people.
yeah. One human skill AI would never replace.
Empathy.
So true. A leader you admire and why.
I really like Shackleton a lot. Yeah, I'm really
Mhm.
kind of obsessed with how
Yeah,
he lay.
now I want to go read up on
Yeah.
this. Did they make a movie about it?
Yeah, there's a couple movies about
I
it,
want
yeah.
to see that. One word you hope people use to describe your leadership.
I'll use 2, servant
Mhm.
leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what does breakthrough mean to you personally?
To me, it means taking on some kind of challenge and really persisting
Mhm.
to reach a goal.
Yes. Oh my God. So this conversation is very important and I really enjoyed. I could keep talking to you forever, but
Me too.
I have a time limit. But thank you so much for pouring into our listeners and to me and coming here. And I'm just so grateful I had the opportunity to even connect with you
Absolutely.
and
It's
meet
great.
you. I mean, someone that, it's rare you find people who are like that is we share a similar leadership philosophy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about it. I feel like it's very important in that we don't talk enough about the human aspect of it. So I just really want to thank you for everything you shared and that connection still matters.
Yeah.
It matters even more nowadays. We're all dealing with so much.
Yeah.
I often say the role that beyond AI, social media
Right.
plays in our social mental well-being is huge. I said we are not designed to have this much access to this many people and to this much information all at once.
Right.
And we're going from
It's too much.
one extreme to the next. One video, it has you cracking up laughing,
Yeah.
it's some prank. The next video is some murder. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and it's just this vicious cycle. And so human connection still matters and it's important. Trust still matters. Presence still matters. So, Michael, thank you again for joining me today and for the work you are doing to help organizations build stronger, more connected leadership and cultures in a time where many people are craving exactly that.
Yeah. Thanks so much. It's
Yeah.
such a pleasure to be with you today. I
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. So, and everyone that's listening, thank you also for continuing to listen to Breakthrough Conversations with me. And if today's conversations challenge you, encourage you, inspired you, or gave you something to reflect upon as a leader, be sure to share this episode with others, subscribe, and continue the conversation with us online. We're going to keep talking about this because that's the whole platform. Until next time, keep leading with intention, keep growing, and keep creating breakthroughs. Thank you for listening.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves you speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. A soccer practice in your high heel glory. Yeah, you do it all.